Is there intelligent alien life? And if so, has the government been covering it up?
What's going on, everyone? I got Stezo4Life with me tonight. We are going to cover this New Jersey drone situation. We've done on this channel, we've done about 2 videos now regarding this. I think that the story is developing in a way where I'm even more skeptical now than ever. Stezo, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, there's
You
too
know,
much. Yeah, it's getting crazier by the day.
It is, and we've been saying from the start of this because right around the Manchester, UK situation that like when that drone allegedly dropped down into the airport,
Mm.
that's kind of when this started. And from the beginning, I've been saying that like I don't think these are like UFOs. Um, I think they kind of have been government technology, whether it's ours or someone else's. That's kind of where I stand on it. And uh, you know, part of the issue and what's kind of what keeps me drawn into the interest is that there's a lot of disinformation happening, and a lot of the clips that you see people, even when they're saying that it's government technology or if it's UFOs, uh the clips, like the video evidence, right, is it looks fake, right? And I think it's fake. And some of the clips we're about to play for you guys, I think, kind of explain that they say it's they're now saying rather it's you know terrestrial rather than extraterrestrial. And then you have a lot of people on Twitter saying that it's UFOs, or I think there's just a lot of information that's kind of contradicting itself, and a lot of the videos aren't doing it justice. What are your general thoughts at this point, Stezo?
Yeah, so basically, I'm with you. I think that a lot of the stuff that it's tough, dude. And it's frustrating because like we look at this stuff hard, and when you see videos that are obviously faked, or maybe they might be real, but they're not clearly what people are intending them to be. Like they'll say, "Oh, it's a drone," or it's a UFO, and it's clearly a commercial airliner flying. You can hear the engines, or you know, a, it's a man-made device because you see the navigation lights. You feel like it's a mockery of what
Right.
we take serious. We're trying to find the truth, and then you have this disinformation, and it's a lot of it, and it's flooding. It's like it just, you got to filter through it, and you're trying to find the truth. And then here's we don't understand either, is there's real life people out there really, their nerves are wrecked because they don't know what it is, and they're hearing the same
Right.
disinformation. And if you live there, I could see it be very unsettling if you're seeing stuff in the sky and you don't know what to make of it.
Well, and I want to cut it in there for a second because you and I both have talked to people who actually live out there or have lived
Right.
out there, and whether it's firsthand account or secondhand account, they've been saying that there is something up there. A lot of people are saying that they don't think it's aliens or
Mhm.
whatever, but that there are these car-sized craft,
Mhm.
loitering essentially up in the horizon, right? And not a so it started out with the whole confusion between whether or not it's UAP or if it's domestic technology, right? Um, but this clip I'm about to share, it's as of 2 days ago. They're talking about how it's from Iran, and it's a foreign entity. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up right here, and this is coming from the Oval Office. This channel, Alien Conspiracies. We are very doubtful of the
Right.
government, let
Yeah.
alone the Oval Office, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
I
Sabrina looks like she's just got out of the octagon.
stop. um, so let's just play this.
Threatened when this activity was occurring.
Oh,
Jen.
Sabrina, can you tell me what
the Pentagon is doing to address this issue of drone sightings
Wait, was that Pentagon or Octagon? I didn't catch that.
over New Jersey,
Where's
senior
Chris,
sensitive
man? He loved this.
installations. The FBI is involved. What is the Pentagon doing?
Sure. So at this time, so aware of those drone sightings that have been reported, at this time, we have no evidence that these activities are coming from a foreign entity or the work of an adversary. We're going to continue to monitor what is happening, but, you know, at no point were our installations threatened when this activity was occurring.
Can you rule out that these are American drones or U.S. military drones?
These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the coast of the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
There is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
I don't know, man.
I would believe the assessment that it's the Chinese. I'm sorry, not the Chinese, the Iranians is correct. I don't think there is a boat off the coast of the United States that's Iranian launching these drones. However, it could be technically another adversary or something else. It makes sense, but yeah, it's definitely not Iranians. They don't have the capacity or whatever to be like a blue navy or to get all the way out here, without being caught. And I don't think it's anything like that. I don't know what the origin is of these things, but it's not Iran for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I just find it weird that this, again, there's so many different moving parts that it's hard to really pinpoint what, from our standpoint, right? A neutral standpoint or a pedestrian standpoint, it's hard to pinpoint where this information could be coming from. But it could be that kind of game that not only news outlets but the government's playing, where the idea that it's a foreign adversary could have just been put out there so that the Oval Office and media could start arguing about it, right?
Correct.
And then it throws off people that have been kind of on this, like us, So, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know every single, aspect of this, but I just find it very odd that this game's being kind of played at this point. So there is another clip I want to play that kind of suggests the same theory. So I'm gonna go ahead and full screen this.
In focus now, Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Hill right now. How do you address this at this point?
Well, and before I play this is who she was referring to. The person that asked the question to that.
This is the congressman that said that about there was Iran. Okay,
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Will Harris. I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off. I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones. Is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible.
So I want to pause it there just for a moment. This is kind of what I was talking about before, right? This disinformation game that's being played because you've got different areas of the government that are now contradicting themselves. I find it very odd, and I want to, we're going to play a clip following this. I think it's a high possibility that NGOs are playing a role in this, you know. And for those who don't know that acronym, it's
Yeah.
non-government organizations which are funded by the government, but there's no paper trail, right? Like,
Right.
and that has something to do with like cyber, you know, cybersecurity or what's it called? Uh, you know, basically, you know, they're censorship. Sorry, I
Right.
blanked out for a
Censorship.
second.
I
Censorship.
didn't know that's where you were going because I didn't
Yeah,
want to jump in. I was like,
censorship. So, like, you know, Rogan had that one guy on recently. I forget. I think is it Mark Andreessen? I think is what.
that's his name. I think so.
Yeah, so he's talking about the Twitter files and all this other stuff. There are companies, NGO companies that are funded by the government, but they don't have to basically follow any guidelines that the government,
Yeah.
that taxpayers, you know, are paying for. They don't need to follow any of those guidelines. I think there's a chance that what this guy is saying right now, Jeff Van Drew, that you know, it's definitely not the U.S. and it's from Iran, and it couldn't be from the U.S. I think that he might be high up in the government, but he doesn't really have a full, you know, a full spectrum of oversight with the whole government, right? And I think there's just a high possibility that you can't really rule that aspect out.
Right.
What do you agree, Stezo?
Yeah. That sounds like you're right on the point with that one. Yeah. I just you know, like I said, it's so weird because usually, like, man, I don't even know. Like, I kind of want to. It's tough because I kind of want to commit in the way I think what's going on, but you know, I feel like I think we're on the right track where we're like talking about there's a lot of disinformation, and it almost seems to me like this to me is like it could be a psyop, you know, uh,
Right.
again. But I hate to use that word because then it throws us more into the conspiracy realm. And the thing is strange lights. I mean, which used to be a conspiracy is pretty much now like we know there's something going on. So we're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
veer off that, and that's what's getting me is that there's we're all you keep on always going back is that something's going on, but no one knows what it is. And now it's like something with all this evidence, it's not a matter of like one or two people seeing it or
for sure,
whatever. This is mass sightings. We're talking about mass sightings, right?
for
And
sure.
so we know that it's going on, but now they have no answer of what it is. And I'm like, that's the frustrating part because before, like if you remember, just a few weeks ago, Pentagon comes out with like they had the answer for that one fast mover video. They said that that was some sort of like artifact in the lens, and they said a lot of these other ones can be explained as like you know, man-made aircraft or you know an aerial phenomenon, you know, or like certain like basically scientifically explained
Yeah.
and yet they keep on saying there's no proof of anything like that. But then we have these mass sightings, and they say, oh well, they're not
Well,
dangerous. Well, then if they're not dangerous, then you must know
yeah,
that they're what they are, right?
they're benevolent, right?
Yeah, and
Because
I'm like that makes no sense to me. Like,
well, and then also on top of what you were saying, right? Like, well, I if they're not aggressive in that sense where they could pose a serious threat, it still poses a national security threat, right?
mhm,
And I've seen a lot of different accounts go around saying that they're not showing up on radar. I don't fully believe that, you know, like because
yeah,
you can't say that they're not showing up on radar and then not show us why they aren't, right,
right,
or how they are not, right?
mhm,
And I don't know. I think it was just important to kind of play this. I don't know if
absolutely.
we're gonna play the rest of this clip, but let's at
Mhm,
least tune in a little bit
Third
more.
possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because
Yeah.
they are.
So I think I will end it there. And that's another thing. What do you mean by mothership? How are you going to just call that out and say, you know, try to bring up what does that term mean?
right,
Right. And, yeah, again, the whole idea of I can't say yet, right? Like this is what points me to believe that it's some sort of
Mhm,
disinformation game, right? Or play,
mhm,
right? Like, oh, we can't really say it's classified at this point.
mhm.
Well, if it's not a threat, why aren't you actually going and being transparent about the situation,
Right,
right?
right. Makes sense. Totally makes sense there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I wish this was. Man, I wish this was more straightforward. Usually, like, I feel like sometimes when we see like unexplained videos, that we can actually have a better answer than what this is, because this is like, I mean, you're watching like all kinds of different, I mean, videos. You're getting, I mean, basically all levels of government have confirmed that it's a real thing, and yet no one knows what it is. And that, to me,
Yeah.
that's the scary part, because here it is, we pay we pay good money in taxes to the government to make sure
Yeah,
that
for
they keep
sure.
us safe, that we have a strong military, a national defense, and all that stuff. And we have all these like programs like in space satellites and radar systems on all over North America to warn us about early nuclear missiles coming, and yet there people are flying these cheap 500 $200 drones, and we don't even know where they're originating from, or if they're even like really like drones, or
Well,
they're like who's doing it. And but it's I don't know, man, it's just really weird. But the government at level doesn't like. Today there was an interview, and I forgot to bring this up earlier too. There was an interview that Trump did with the media about what his recommendation would be to deal with handling the drones. And then Biden administration came back, the White House came back and said that they disagree, that that would cause more harm than good, and that they're addressing it appropriately. And I'm like, if they're addressing it appropriately, that must mean they're not worried about it. You know what
well,
I mean?
and you also brought up a good point about how you know, just the government and media is addressing it, right? And it to me, it feels like overnight, all of a sudden, this year, it
Mhm.
went from, and I've said this before, like you went from being a crazy for even entertaining the idea to
Yep.
multiple levels in the government are addressing it,
Mhm.
and the media is now covering it. Now we have Fox News. I mean, dude, you're older than I am.
Yeah.
20 years ago, you wouldn't. I imagine 20 years ago, you
This
wouldn't
was
even.
20 years ago. This was still like science fiction or
Well,
French theory. I mean, a lot of the
20
stuff.
years ago, Fox wouldn't. If Fox is bringing up aliens, it's calling people crazy. Am I wrong?
Right, absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
because it's a different time though now too, because and I think that has a lot to do with social media, the fact that information can be exchanged pretty fast and around globally. You have things like this platform that we're broadcasting on YouTube. I remember when I first started watching YouTube, a lot of the first videos I started watching on YouTube was freaking 9/11 videos, and of course that was like a major conspiracy, right? They
Well,
showed all
yeah,
different
and
angles and all that stuff. So, like UFOs was up there. It's always been at the forefront. And with the disclosure that's happened in the last few years, and things like that, coming out and then having congressional hearings, and obviously the documentaries, and these people have been
yeah.
around for a long time, but
Well,
it's mainstream now. Like a lot of people that never would have really been uh, associated with it or paid attention to it now can't get away from it, because like even if you don't even watch the news, if you're on social media, you're gonna at some point scroll along, you're gonna see something about UAPs, UFOs, and
no,
the impact of these things, these drone things is like it's front page.
I completely agree, and I don't care where you stand in terms of whether or not you believe it's terrestrial or extraterrestrial, right? Like whether or not it's an alien or a government technology. At this point, it's undeniable, and I'm going to drive this home because I've said this on multiple videos.
Mhm,
It's undeniable that something's going on
mhm.
past what we are, what's socially accepted, right, as a conspiracy or not.
Right.
There is something happening that you like. I mean, and I find that like, I'm not going to sit here and say I told you so to people, but yeah, it
Yeah,
looks like there's some shit going on.
there's some shit going on, right? No,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, that makes sense, man.
So let's play this other clip. This is this is Brett Velkovich.
Mhm.
This one's a little interesting. But yeah, let's hear it
Says
out.
security experts share these theories. Several experts said the U.S. government might be behind the unsettling flights, which could be part of a super secret military program meant to test new hardware before it hits the battlefield. My first guess is that these are potentially government programs kept within what is known as a special access program, which is purposely put together to keep even the most cleared people out, is truly to keep it secret, said Clint Emerson, a retired Navy SEAL. Possible? I mean, at some point, we have to know the people of New Jersey have all these things flying above their houses.
It's possible, but I just highly doubt it's plausible. I mean, Dan knows, I'm sure he was part of a number of special access programs just like I was. And when we were testing stuff domestically in the US, there was some sort of coordination with law enforcement. It doesn't matter how top secret of a system we were testing, somebody would know what's going on, and the local government officials would be informed because of the fact there could be some mass hysteria. And so when the police get a call that we're running around some city, they know to say, listen, it's okay, everything's good. But they're not doing that here. They're not coming out and saying that. We're just getting a lot of, I don't know what's going on. And the real issue here is, even if we knew where these drones were and how they were flying and all this, our law enforcement doesn't even know the rules of engagement for downing rogue drones over the US. The FAA has not provided clear guidance on what to do. So if a drone is flying with a bomb, there's not much anyone can really do about it as the current law stands. And we need to provide law enforcement with the proper tools to actually do something about it, because this is just the beginning.
Dan, people are not saying they're aliens; they're saying they're drones. But
So the clip is, I'm only ending it a few seconds short. So I kind of touched on this already, that and you all viewers are welcome to look it up. NGO is a legitimate thing within our government. It's not a tinfoil hat conspiracy. There are legitimate organizations that don't need to abide by the guidelines of taxpayer funded what's the word I'm looking for? Organizations. I'll just leave it there, right? Like, you can look it up. It's a legitimate thing. And by that token, what he is saying can pretty much be thrown out the window, in my opinion, right? Because yeah, if you're funded by the government, but you don't have to follow the rules, there's nothing about, like, you don't have to declassify anything to local police or anything like that. You can just take what you've done with that money, put it out there, and all of a sudden you've got a spectacle on your hands. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now.
No, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what the direction I'm looking right now. Like I said, I'm trying to figure out like how you hear the big thing is, like you said, there's key words, right? Key words is that I am not hearing, unless it's like, your typical like nutso saying, oh, it's UFOs, it's this or that. I'm hearing a lot of people saying the word drone. So it's clearly that they are drones now. Whereas, like, if you remember when we first started looking into this, everybody was saying that they were UFOs, right? But we knew they weren't. But the word is drone now. So
well, sorry, I don't make it off, but they switched it up within a day.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Exactly. And so I think that's kind of where we need to go ahead and go with this. But like you said, you're leaning towards, and I'm both leaning towards like some sort of government program, whether it's, let's just say, governmentally funded, because that's the best way to do. That way, if it's our military, it's government funded. If it's Lockheed Martin or Boeing or Raytheon, it's government funded.
Yeah, it's still government.
Because it's a contract.
and I want to make sure I drive it home again. That is what an NGO is. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. These companies don't need to they're getting money from the government,
Absolutely.
but they don't have to, like, they're weapons and security, right? Like,
Well,
you
you
know,
got to understand if it's a contract. Let's say what happens is it happens all the time with aircraft. You know, military aircraft is, and I think in some sort of bylaw or whatever that the way it has to go is that you have to have at least two, maybe more than that, companies compete for the same contract. So they're literally competing against each other, right? So like if you had Lockheed Martin and you had Boeing and something like that doing drones, like that way otherwise that way you can go back to the taxpayers in Congress and say, hey, look, we're not just giving all the money to one company to get rich. We
right.
have to put out bids, and then whoever gets the best
Well,
one. That's how
it's
it works. Yeah.
it's the same as construction, which is the
Yep.
field that I'm in for work. A lot of the times with these capital projects, $1 million or over, you have to submit 3 different bids before
Mhm.
you can award a job to someone. You can't
Right.
that to cut out the monopoly. I think it's similar as to
Mhm.
what you're
It is.
talking
Yeah.
about,
You
right?
have to,
Like,
because and I'm not, like I said, I can't remember the actual. I think it's an actual like bylaw that in order to get approved for the funding, which comes from Congress or whatever, is that you have to go ahead and get, and that's why you'll see some companies and certain aircraft get this approved and they can get that, and then other ones get this other
well,
aircraft approved. And I
well,
think the same thing might be going on here.
and also, so like if you look at situations like the Afghanistan pullout, us pulling out, and then I'm sure there's plenty of other, the Gaza situation. There are certain points to where the military can't go in, but we can contract work because it's not directly connected to the government. So those rules are already being bent to an extent, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure these contract workers still have to abide to certain like NATO laws, right, or not, international laws, but there becomes a point. The point I'm trying to say is that, like, even though the military can't go in, we can contract that work. I think there's something similar happening. Um,
Yep.
and again, for whoever's listening, if you guys disagree, please, by all means, like, let us know why you disagree, uh, and we'll look into that. But listen, I think we had a good kind of conversation about everything that's been happening this past week. Stezo, you have anything else to add before I kind of
No,
wrap it up?
no, this is good, man. I'm glad we are staying on top of this. And like I said, if we do get an answer here in the near future, I'm sure we'll do a follow-up video to make
For
sure that
sure.
we follow up on it, and then hopefully get an answer. And like I said, I kind of, the more I start thinking about things, I start thinking about like how uh, wild it must be for residents back there, but seeing this on a nightly basis. Because I think that some people are
Yeah.
genuinely scared because they don't
Yeah.
know, and the way that if you don't really know, and plus you're hearing rumors and all that stuff, this could be one of those things again where you know, our government isn't telling us everything and they don't want us because they don't want panic. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, how come you didn't say nothing? Well, we didn't want people to panic. And then you don't want to say something that may cause people to overreact when they shouldn't. And, so you're kind of in a catch 22. So, yeah, I mean, I just hope that it ends up coming out that it's, um, pretty much just maybe in some enthusiasts or some sort of
Mhm.
maybe some online challenge, TikTok challenge, like freak out a region or something with all your drones. Everyone do a drone meetup and fly them. I don't know, but like I said, hopefully
Well,
we get a good resolution out of it.
and just to wrap it up, there have been some videos, I don't really believe, but they're saying that people's personal drones that they, recreational drones, they're not working. I don't buy it, but I think we covered most of the bases for now.
Mhm.
As the story develops further, like Stezo said, you can expect that we're going to follow it up. But thank you guys for dropping by. Uh, Let us know, if you made it to the end. Let us know what you think about our opinions. What are yours, and where you think this you know the theories are originating from, and tell us what you think about it. Thank you so much, and Stezo, thank you for dropping by.
Absolutely. Keep your eyes up.
Yeah, if you're in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Night, guys.